All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I wanted to give you guys my take on the week 2 assignment, chapter 10 homework on re-engineering or reverse engineering the Western States Marriage Record Index. So first thing you want to do, obviously, is get a good look at the index itself and try and get a sense for what's there, and mentally map out what you see as far as entities and attributes. So looking at this, first of all, we have some a basic search and then an advanced search feature. Let's start with the basic search first. My great-grandparents, I know, were married in the Western States. So let's see if I can locate my great-grandfather, Earl Wilding. So it looks like we have Earl Raymond Wilding, who married Jane Mahalia Nave in Salt Lake, Utah. That is, in fact, my great-grandfather and my great-grandmother. And so clicking on that brings us some details of their wedding. So some fields that we see here. We have groom's last name, first and middle name, looks like. And I'm guessing that's his age right there, 23, and her age is 18. So we have age at marriage. That's probably calculated by their birth date and the date of their marriage. So there's probably some hidden information here, birth date, which is not being shown, but it's probably available. And again, we have first name, middle name, home, groom residence. We have city, county, and state. And then again, last name, first, middle, city, county, state, location of the marriage, city, county, state. So it looks like we have a location field here. It gives us a combination city, county, state record. We have a marriage entity that'll have a groom and a bride and a date and a location. I'm not sure what volume 74 stands for there, so I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do much with that. And the page and notes probably have to do with the sourcing of where this came from. And then let's go back really quick and look at what does our advanced search look like. What else do we have? Date ranges. You can narrow by state. You can narrow by county. All right. So that gives us a little bit of an idea of the things available in this database. So hopping over to MySQL, we're going to create a new model. First thing I like to do is change the name of the schema. So right click on right here where it says MyDB. Rename your schema to whatever you want to call it. Western States Marriages, like that. And we're going to add a diagram. So here's our blank canvas for creating our diagram. We're going to create a new table. Pop it out here. We can just double click on that. Should bring up our editing menu here. Rename that. Let's start with the marriage. That seems to be the main point here. Now there's something that it probably get brought up later that our demo videos didn't indicate. You want to use singulars when you name tables and fields. Typically, you're going to go with singular, not plural. So marriage, not marriages. Column name here, we're going to go with an ID. Let's go to key, marriage ID. We're going to use that as our primary key. We're going to make sure it's not null. Obviously, we have to have a value. It needs to be unique. And we'll go ahead and let that be an auto-incrementing generated table value. All right. Now we have our, let's leave the groom and bride off because those are going to come in as foreign keys. Our location is also probably going to be a foreign key. So we're probably just going to have date here. So marriage date. And that is going to be a date type. Again, not null. If it happened, it's going to need to be recorded in there. And it's not going to be unique. It's not going to be a primary key. Not going to be automatically incremented, so just not null here. And let's move on to our next idea here. So now we're going to add our groom. I can spell. There we go. Groom. Again, groom ID. And that'd be our primary key. Not null, it needs to be unique. We'll go ahead and get the auto increment again on that. Now auto increment just means it's going to be a surrogate key that will, as you enter values in your database, each new record will just be given the next incremental integer. name. Let's go with first. Not null. Middle name. That one we will leave nullable because we don't know if our groom is going to have a middle name. And last name, we're going to want to make sure we have that indicated. And let's go ahead and add groom birth date. And date type here. And we may not know the birth date, so we're going to go ahead and leave that nullable for now. So there's our groom, there's our marriage. Let's go ahead and while we're at it, create our bride. This will be fun. Let's just copy the groom table and paste it. Yes, duplicate. Oh, it didn't do it. Yes, it did. It hit it. There we go. Now, we can just go through here and replace groom with bride. Save us a little bit of time. We don't have to go back and reinvent the wheel and rename everything. It'd be nice if we could do a find and replace, but not all things are always super easy here. We'll try to keep it as easy as we can. All right, now we have our bride. And finally, let's add our location table. Again, we're going to have a location ID. And we're going to do a primary key, not null, unique, auto incrementing. I'm gonna play with that a little bit more over time because I'm thinking that that's going to have components of city, state, and county which are nested in within each other. So I'm going to think about that for a second because I'm just doing this for the first time off the cuff here, so I haven't really planned ahead. All right, so meanwhile, we're going to go back and join our groom and bride in marriage, performing weddings like digitally. This is fun. So right over here on our left-hand side, we have our join contexts. We're hoping our grooms and our brides are only getting married one time. We're going to pretend like they are for now, even though hypothetically there is a small chance that, you know, again, we're dealing with Western states in the 1800s. We could definitely have some multiples with the grooms, especially. But for now, let's just go with the 1-to-1. And we're going to go with, you click your dependent table first, and then your independent table second. And what that will do is take the primary key from your second clicked table and insert it into the first clicked table as a foreign key. As you see here, groom ID gets put into marriage as a foreign key. We're going to do the same with bride. Again, clicking marriage first, then bride. It's going to grab the bride's ID and drop it in here as well. That same thing works with your one-to-many. You click the many side first, then the one side second, and it will pull the primary key from the many side and insert it as a foreign key in the other. Okay, so our location ID, think about how that's going to be done. Hold on one second. So the way I want to do this is to create a table, a lookup table for each of the following attributes for city, county, and state. Because occasionally what you'll have happen, especially when you're dealing with you know, early 1800s or mid to late 1800s in the Western states, is they were not entirely states at that point in time. We have, in fact, if we look back at our sample website here, one of our options is not even a state, it's Utah Territory. And so we're not even dealing with the state of Utah and the current counties as they're constituted now. And that becomes an issue, like I said, with Idaho as well, that Fremont County in Idaho was incorporated sometime after Madison County. And so what ended up happening is you'll have some marriages that occurred in what used to be Madison County, but is now Fremont County. And so over time, the location, the county location, will change as new civic entities become incorporated in different areas. So in order to allow for that kind of growth and shift in definitions of locations, we're going to go ahead and create a lookup table for each of these ideas, each of these attributes, and link them together with a dependent one-to-many join. And I'll show you how that works real quick. So we're going to start with city. Begin with our standard unique and auto incrementing. And city name. We're not going to worry about names of cities changing just for now because that's entirely too complicated for this setup. Now we're going to create our county table. And finally, our state table. All right, so as we're doing this, what we're going to do is, starting with state, we're going to create a one-to-many join as we work our way back. And this is going to be a dependent one. So we're going to go from state to county. And what that does is grabs the state ID and drops it over here in the county. Another thing that it does is when it drops it in here as a foreign key, it labels that foreign key as part of the primary key. That's going to be useful because one thing it's going to do, so first of all, what I want to do is get rid of this prefix. I think those are kind of ugly. I don't really care for them. And it tends to muddy the waters a little bit about how they get used. So we're going to clear that up so that the IDs match. And now when we do that again, going from county to city, it's going to grab both of those and bring them over. And doing again the same thing, it's going to make those part of our primary key. Let's clean those names up again. Sorry about the noise from my keyboard. And then lastly here, we're going to do another one of these and bring them all into our location. So now we have location ID, which incorporates a city ID, a county ID, and a state ID, all as part of a massive primary key. That allows us the flexibility of putting the same city in multiple counties depending on when the marriage took place and the specific civic organizations at that time. And the last thing we're going to do now is join our location. Now we had a location for the groom's hometown, the bride's hometown, and the marriage. So we'll do a many-to-one again from groom to location. And again, I shouldn't have brought all those over. Oh, it's because they're part of the primary key here. My mistake. Let's undo that real quick. Don't actually want them as part of the primary key here. Now, let's try that again. Boom, there we go. Location ID gets brought over just once. Again for our bride, and finally for our marriage. So our marriage now has a location, our groom has a hometown, our bride has a hometown. And again, when you're showing these off, you may want to expand your window there so everything's visible. And that is roughly how I would go about reverse engineering that website. And again, I'd go through and quickly clean up our location, get rid of those prefixes. I don't really like how they are. In fact, you could even go so far as to rename this location ID right here. You can rename it groom hometown, bride hometown, marriage location, if you would like, and it will still preserve those relationships. And you'll just have to remember as a database designer what those matching fields are so that when you create your joins later on, everything makes sense. All right. Hope that's helped, and catch you on the next one.